Guys, we have all been watching Ethan running around town, taking bullets to the backside, dragging Ava to meet Sunny, and frantically trying to manage the absolute chaos surrounding baby Phoebe. But an insider buzz suggests that every single thing we have been told about his mission in town is a complete and utter lie. A secret just leaked from behind the scenes, a massive piece of unconfirmed information that someone is desperately trying to keep hidden from the viewers until the absolute last second. It involves the tragic death of Delilah, the true paternity of Phoebe, and a shadow conspiracy that makes the usual mob drama look like absolute child's play. If you ask me, Ethan is not the noble protector we have been led to believe, and the danger chasing him is far worse than anyone could have ever anticipated. Right now, Ethan is recovering in a sterile hospital room after taking that bullet to protect Ava, and he recently dropped a massive bombshell on her. He confessed that he is not the biological father of Phoebe. Naturally, Ava is fiercely interrogating him. You all know Ava. She is relentless. She is standing over his hospital bed, refusing to let the issue go, even if he tries to backtrack and claim he was delirious from the pain and the medication. Ava knows when someone is hiding a massive secret, and she is like a dog with a bone. At the same time, Ethan is currently being chased by someone from his past, forcing him to plan a very quick escape from the hospital. But who is really chasing him? It is not just some random loan shark or minor thug. The leak suggests the people hunting Ethan are part of something much, much bigger. Everyone assumes that Ethan simply came to town to protect Delilah and the baby from Jens. Most viewers believe that Jens is the ultimate big bad in this specific storyline, a ruthless man who would stop at nothing to claim what he believes is rightfully his. The obvious explanation seems to be that Ethan faked the DNA test results solely to throw Jens off the scent, to protect a vulnerable mother and her innocent child from a life of crime, violence, and constant danger. We all watched the tragedy unfold when Delilah passed away from severe internal bleeding during childbirth. Everyone assumes it was just a devastating medical complication, a tragic accident that left Ethan as a grieving, desperate guardian trying to honor a dead woman's legacy. It is a classic soap opera trope, right? The rogue with a heart of gold stepping up to raise a child that isn't his to save her from a terrifying villain. Viewers have been eating up this narrative, sympathizing with Ethan's plight and mourning Delilah's untimely demise. We watch Brooklyn and Willow cooing over baby Phoebe at the pool, and we think it is just a sweet moment of a community coming together to care for an orphan child. We see Jens setting dangerous revenge traps for Sunny, Laura, and Lucas, and we assume Jens is lashing out because he lost his prize. That is the story on the surface, and it is exactly what the writers want us to believe right now. But what if we're looking at this the wrong way? What if that wasn't the real reason Ethan faked those DNA results? What if the situation is being manipulated on a scale so massive that even Jens is just an unwitting pawn on the board? There may be more going on here than a simple paternity dispute between two rival men. Let us look at the alternative story that is currently circulating in the deepest, darkest rumor mills. What if Phoebe is not just a normal baby caught in a love triangle? Insider speculation points to a terrifying behind-the-scenes possibility. Phoebe is the result of a highly classified, incredibly advanced genetic project orchestrated by a rogue faction of a global intelligence agency or an entirely unknown underground syndicate. Think about the history of this town. We have seen memory mapping with Jason and Drew. We have seen weather machines. And we have seen cold fusion prototypes manipulated by dirty agents like Ross. Why wouldn't a shadow organization delve into genetic engineering or the creation of designer babies? The rumor is that Delilah was never meant to be a traditional mother. She was specifically chosen, heavily monitored, and utilized merely as a surrogate, a human incubator for a child whose true biological parents remain a complete and utter mystery. If this unconfirmed information holds any weight, Ethan's entire narrative completely flips upside down. He didn't alter those DNA results just to trick Jens. He did it to mask Phoebe's true genetic markers. He did it because if the child's true identity and biological makeup are logged into any official medical database, every single dark operative on the planet will descend upon them to claim the ultimate prize. I keep wondering whether Ethan has known about this secret project since long before he even set foot back in our town. When he dragged Ava to see Sunny at the gallery, perhaps he wasn't just looking for mob protection from Jens. Perhaps he was trying to assess if Sonny's organization had the raw firepower and resources to withstand an assault from a highly funded, technologically advanced syndicate. Ethan knows Jens is dangerous, but Jens operates on ego. The people who created Phoebe operate on cold, calculated science and absolute control. This hidden agenda opens up several fascinating pathways, and the behind-the-scenes whispers have outlined a few distinct possibilities. That's one possibility, but let us break down a few more scenarios that could explain Ethan's bizarre behavior. Scenario 1. Ethan is actually working for a rival intelligence agency. In this scenario, Ethan didn't rescue Delilah out of the goodness of his heart. He was a highly trained operative, tasked with infiltrating the project, stealing the surrogate, and securing the genetic asset for his own employers. His affection for Delilah might have been a carefully constructed cover. Or perhaps he genuinely fell for her during the mission, which compromised his loyalty. Now, he is completely disavowed, running from his own agency, running from Jens, and running from the original creators of the project. He is using Ava and Sonny as temporary meat shields, manipulating their vast resources to buy himself enough time to find a safe haven where the baby can be hidden forever. Scenario 2. Phoebe's genetic code holds the key to a cure for a massive biological weapon, or perhaps a cure for a genetic anomaly that the syndicate wants to monetize. We have been hearing so much about Britt and her fake medical diagnosis, a cruel trick orchestrated by Ross and Jens. What if the same faction that plays God with fake diseases is also playing God with real, genetically engineered cures? If Phoebe was engineered to carry a specific, flawless genetic sequence, she is quite literally priceless. In this theory, Ethan discovered the horrifying truth and couldn't bear to let an innocent child be raised in a sterile laboratory and harvested for her DNA. He orchestrated the escape, faked the paternity to hide her in plain sight with Brooke Lynn, and is now desperately trying to throw the hounds off the scent. Scenario 3. This theory completely flips the script on who the actual villain is. What if Jens is not the bad guy in this specific situation? What if Jens was actually trying to stop the syndicate? We know Jens is a criminal, but what if he discovered that this shadow organization was crossing a line even he wouldn't cross? Jens might have been tracking Delilah not to hurt her, but to secure the baby and destroy the syndicate's leverage. Ethan, caught in the middle and trusting absolutely no one, assumed Jens was the primary threat and ran. This would mean Ethan's well-intentioned interference has actually doomed them all, putting the baby directly in the crosshairs of the true architects of this nightmare, while Jens is left setting traps for Sonny just to regain control of a rapidly deteriorating situation. Ava has been through so much betrayal in her life, and now she is standing in that hospital room, looking at Ethan, trying to decipher if he is a madman or a savior. She knows the danger of the criminal underworld, but a shadow organization dealing in human genetics is a completely different level of terror. If Ethan pulls Ava into this, he is essentially signing her death warrant, which explains why he might be trying to push her away with half-truths. Meanwhile, Sonny is currently distracted by Jens and his revenge traps. Sonny thinks he is playing a game of chess against a standard rival. But if the rumors about Phoebe are true, Sonny is playing checkers while a global syndicate is playing three-dimensional chess. Ethan knows that Sonny's mob soldiers are no match for highly trained corporate assassins who can make a murder look like a routine medical complication. However, there is one final theory circulating in the darkest corners of the rumor mill, and it is by far the most chilling. It is the boldest, most dangerous possibility, and it changes the entire emotional core of this storyline. What if Delilah's death was not a medical accident at all? What if someone planned this from the very beginning? Think about the exact circumstances of her passing. Delilah suffered from severe internal bleeding during what should have been a heavily monitored, manageable delivery in a modern hospital. What if the syndicate had already infiltrated the medical staff? Delilah was the only person who might have known the true extent of what was done to her body. She was the only one who could identify the doctors, the hidden facilities, and the experimental procedures. Once Phoebe was successfully born, Delilah had completely outlived her usefulness. She went from being a highly valuable incubator to a severe, unacceptable liability. The syndicate didn't just let her die. They murdered her on that delivery table to silence her forever. They tied up a loose end in the most brutal, undetectable way possible. And Ethan knows it. Ethan knows that the woman he cared for was assassinated right under his nose. And that terrifying realization is what is driving his absolute unhinged panic right now. He isn't just protecting a baby from a mobster. He is holding the sole surviving evidence of a calculated murder and a massive illegal human experiment. If this is truly the direction the writers are taking, then Ethan is facing an insurmountable enemy. He won't just be dodging Jens's traps or dealing with Ava's relentless interrogations. He will be going to war against an invisible, omnipotent organization that views human life as nothing more than raw, disposable data. They eliminated Delilah without leaving a single trace of foul play. Who is to say they won't do the exact same thing to Brooklyn, or Willow, or anyone else who gets too close to Phoebe? Ethan is terrified because he knows that once the syndicate pinpoints Phoebe's exact location, they won't send thugs with guns. They will send professionals who make deaths look like tragic accidents. Something about this feels hidden, and the pieces are slowly starting to align in a very disturbing way. The sudden arrival of Ethan, the fake DNA results, the convenient and tragic death of the mother, the desperate handoff of the baby to Brooklyn, it is all too perfectly orchestrated to be a simple coincidence. Every time you think you have a handle on this storyline, a new layer of deception peels back. We are watching Ava relentlessly interrogate Ethan, demanding to know the truth. But if Ethan tells Ava the truth, he puts a massive target on her back. That is exactly why he is willing to let Ava hate him. Why he is willing to let everyone think he is just a deadbeat or a liar. He is carrying the weight of a secret that could get half the town killed. Could this all be true? Could Ethan really be standing on the front lines of a shadow war over a genetically engineered child? It might be the absolute truth, or it could just be a massive misdirection designed by the writers to keep us guessing until the very end. Maybe Ethan really is just a guy trying to protect a baby from a standard mobster like Jens. But if you listen closely to the insider buzz, if you watch the absolute fear in Ethan's eyes as he prepares to flee from the hospital once again, you know there is a much bigger story waiting to explode. We don't have all the answers yet, and the show is definitely keeping its cards close to its chest. But one thing is absolutely certain. There is definitely something else going on here. The truth about baby Phoebe is out there, and when it finally comes to light, it is going to shatter this town forever. Let me know what you guys think in the comments, and keep your eyes peeled for the next leak.
Goodbye. Please like, subscribe, and comment on the GH Spoilers Daily channel.